Good evening. Welcome to what is actually the Board of Ed's second budget hearing. If there's anybody in the audience who would like to speak to us about the budget, this would be your opportunity, but I think all of you are here for the regular meeting. Okay, I didn't hear anybody say otherwise, so I will close out the budget hearing, and we'll move into the regular meeting for today, which is May 3rd. Just for anybody who's watching, the budget vote is on May 17th. If there's information that you need, there are copies of this document available in town, in the schools. If you have any questions, all our numbers and the contact information is available on the website. So please give us be in touch if there's any questions you need answered in terms of the budget and or the election of trustees that night as well, for which we have 2 spots open. 2 members of the board are running for re-election. That's Karen Campbell and Wendy Nadich. And then there are 2 members of the public, Lisa Litvin and Doug Sondheim. So please consider what you're doing, and I hope you come out to support us. Anyway, moving on. We'll go to the opening meeting, which will give the superintendent's report.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody.
To you guys.
It's nice to see you come out tonight. Appreciate it. We have members of the Ed Foundation here. Thank you for being here. We can't wait to introduce you in a little while and tell us all those fun things that you're going to help us with. And we have a member of our staff here as well. So welcome. So just a few things I'd like to share with you. We've gotten some good news if you, what kind of creeds you put into some of the reports, but when you're on them, it's good. When you're not on them, we don't like them very much. But in this case, we'll take it. This one's the U.S. News World and Report listing of the best high schools, and Hastings High School was given gold status, ranked the number 179th high school in the nation and number 33 in New York State. And they include data on more than 21,000 public high schools in the 50 states and the District of Columbia, and they're awarded status based on gold, silver, or bronze medals, which is based on the performance and state assessments, graduation rates, and how well they prepare students for college. So congrats to all our staff, really. It's not, look at these, it's not just a high school award, it's really, kind of our exit award, if you will. And all the teachers, K through 12, contribute to the high standards that we set here. And this was a new one. I didn't see this one before. This one was put out by the Washington Post for America's most challenging high schools. And Hastings High School is ranked 48 of America's most challenging high schools. How they come up with this, I'm not sure.
Well, kudos to all the kids who are taking AP tests.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's an index form that takes the number of advanced placement, IBs, and advanced international certificate of education tests given after school each year, divided by the number of seniors who graduated. So somehow that ratio
we have kids who take a lot of tests, which
made
is
us
great.
number 48 of the most challenging high schools. So
sort of a mix.
Take it for what it's worth.
Sort of a mixed thing here.
Look, yeah. I'm just reporting.
For a while there were some high schools across the country that were paying kids to take APs.
Oh, that's interesting.
It should really be like, well, if you're really going to...
The other flip of that is high schools where kids are pushed to take too many APs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sure. Sure.
Well, that's why it's good that we're only 48th.
That's right. We're good, but not that bad. Got it.
We found that sweet spot.
But here's one of our favorite APs.
Absolutely.
Right.
Art students had an opportunity to display their work last Thursday and Friday, and I'm not sure if you had an opportunity to go up to see the pieces that they put up, but they were just outstanding.
Some amazing.
Amazing. Yeah, I was able to walk through as the kids were putting them up, and I always like reading the artist
It was up for
statement.
such a short time.
Yeah, we talked about that. The problem is where do you keep it and how do you keep it
Keep it safe and things.
safe and all that stuff, and we still use the library for a lot of things. So
It's so great that,
yeah, right. But there's so much traffic there. It's difficult to monitor. So
it's great that this course makes them really articulate
Yeah.
their, what they're work is about, because it's something that's really hard to do, and the more practice you can do, you have, the better
Yeah.
it is.
Absolutely.
Getting your head together around it.
And the kids are just so great when you talk to them about their work. They're just so humble about it, and it's like, oh yeah, it's just, I'm like, I can't even draw a stick figure, and this stuff is absolutely amazing to me. So congratulations to our AP students and our art staff. We have the PTSA Youth Book Fair coming up at Hillside. The legacy continues. Starts on Thursday morning, all day, and Thursday night, Friday, and Saturday. So please come out and check out all our used books. Also on Thursday evening, there is a candidates night hosted by the League of Women Voters, and you'll have an opportunity to hear and meet the candidates who are running for the 2 seats on the Board of Education. It's going to be at the Hillside Cafe, beginning at 7 o'clock, and as Eileen mentioned before, we have 2 incumbent board members, Karen Campbell and Wendy Nadich, who are running, as well as Lisa Litvin and Doug Sunheim. So please come out and have an opportunity to meet the candidates to formulate your opinions. The school board election and budget vote is happening on May 17th in the Cochran Gym from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. And there's also a new voter registration on May 11th in the high school library for those who need to do that. And we do have our next board meeting on the 17th, which is also the same night as the budget vote and board election. And before we have the foundation folks come up, I just want to give you a quick update on the Hillside principal search. Met with the search committee yesterday. There's a committee of 10 people that represent parents, staff members from Hillside, and administrators as well. We had about 100 resumes come in for the position. Out of that 100, we paper screened them down to 11. So we'll be bringing in 11 people starting next week. The plan is to have shorter first round interviews, probably in that 30 to 35 minute range, bring them in for a second round with the committee, maybe narrow it down to 4 or 5 candidates at that point, and then hopefully have 1 or 2 or 3 people to recommend to a final interview process. So that's kind of where we're at. So we're moving along with that.
Any people who are principals in New Jersey applying?
No comment. No, not that I know of. Not that I know of. But, we have an interesting group of people coming in, and we'll see what we get. That's where we're at.
It sounds like you have a good pool, though. Yeah.
We have a lot
Yeah.
of numbers come in. I can't say that they're all qualified.
Right.
Once you start weeding out the certifications and experience that kind of matches our criteria, it becomes less.
Right.
We did get the results of the survey that was sent out. If you recall, we sent a survey to the community asking what characteristics people will be looking for in the next Hillside principal. We had about 100 responses to that survey, and the information was shared with the search committee to try to match up our candidates to what people were suggesting we should consider. So we have, out of the 11 that we're calling in, I think about half are sitting principals, and then 3 or 4 are assistant principals, and there's a couple that are in neither category but look very interesting. So we'll see. Hopefully we'll be pleasantly surprised. That's fine.
Okay. So the next thing we want to do is have our representatives from the Hastings Education Foundation. If you would come up to the mic and, I guess, give us your presentation.
Yeah.
This is the dog and pony part. Come on.
All right, I'm going to talk first about the grants. Is this good?
Yeah.
That's good. If
Can
you
you hear
could,
me now?
just for the record, if you could let people know who you are, because
I'm sorry, Suzanne Page, Samantha Merton. We are co-presidents of the Hastings Education Foundation. I'm going to first talk about the grants that we would like to offer to the school, and then Samantha's going to tell you about the best party of the year, which is and which might be crucial to next year's grants. So there were, I have to say, it's my favorite, well, of course, it's the only reason we exist is these grants, but it's also so much fun to get them and to read them. It is so much fun, and I wish there was even more money to give. The total of what we would like to offer is $65,126.
That's great.
Taken.
Breaking down
Yeah.
this. And we were very excited, and one of the things we were excited by is that, well, two things. One, several of the programs that we have, we feel proud ownership in, that we have supported from their inception and the expansion, have come back for some more. So we are glad that they're so successful. And also there were a lot of interesting STEM grants this year, I thought, or at least several interesting STEM grants. Starting with Hillside. Jamie Nedwick wrote a very thoughtful plan for taking advantage of the proximity of Hillside Woods and Sugar Pond to Hillside, and we have always thought that was such a great thing. And she wrote this grant to bring a naturalist and entomologist into Hillside who's known to her and who's been in Hillside before. And we are offering to fund this for the 4th grade. It's a series of walks culminating in a project. There's a lot of hands-on components to it. It's very integrated into lots of aspects of the curriculum. Geology, they learn about the geology of the woods. They will learn about the plants that grow there and the trees. They'll learn about the native people who overwintered there. And there are many, many letters in their name. I'm not going to pronounce their name, but we're all going to learn about it from those 4th graders, I'm quite sure. We love that grant because there's lots of ways to grab kids' imaginations to that, and it's very thoughtful. And then, of course, we would like to give some more money to the Makerspace because we could not love that Makerspace, those Makerspaces more. They're so amazing, and I was very pleased that you invited us all, or informed us all of the open house that they had. I can't remember where that invitation came from, but there was an open house, all the parents came, and some of us don't have kids in Hillside anymore. It was eye-opening and terrific and wonderful. It's a great place. We'd like to fund another author's visit. Dee Rattery does those frequently, and they're always a giant success. We have funded in the past, and we are funding again a request to bring the Hudson Valley Shakespeare Company here, this time for residency in the 8th grade. Again, those are always so thoughtful, so well integrated into the curriculum, and it's so much fun to let another group, this time it's the 8th grade, get that experience. Let's see, I did not write down who's that. Can't remember where this came from. There was a request for professional development to bring border crossers talking about waste in the classroom. That seems so topical. So, of course, and professional development always seems to give you a big bang for your buck. So we thought that was a great opportunity. There's some more equipment to facilitate the art curriculum that we would like to fund. Ezra Elliott, Sherry Kavanaugh wants to pilot. I don't know what this is. We had to Google it. Some people knew what it was. We had to Google it. She wants to pilot the use of green screen technology so that students and faculty can make interactive videos. And so we've given her the funds to pilot that in the 5th grade, see how that goes. Here's the first of the amazing pieces of technology that we would like to fund this year. This is the Glowforge laser cutter printer. We had to Google it to see what it was. When we Googled it at our board meeting, one of our board members stopped paying attention and started trying to buy it for himself. It's so cool. It's actually a laser cutter, but it acts like a 3D printer, but it's subtractive, and you can use any thin media. Wood, plastic, metal, leather, chocolate. Oh my God, it looks so much fun. And it's not just, we don't like it just because it's fun, but because we think it'll be, as Steve Keogh thinks, a great addition to the middle school makerspace. In the high school, Sarah Walters and Ross Abrams want to bring a poet in residence, and since that sounds great, to work with the 10th grade and with some of the students in other electives. The science department would like another 3D printer. there are other 3D printers, they don't have one. We think they'll make good use of it. Greg Stevens asked us for funds to add a robotics module to the coding elective. Wow. We just want to see those little robots move around. Corey Merchant in the photography program is one that we feel some pride of, not ownership, but we bought a lot of stuff. And it's always been fabulously well used, and we get to see it. Unlike some of the things, we get to see it when there are art exhibits. So Corey Merchants asked for just some simple equipment that allows an extension of the program into photographing very, very small and photographing very, very far away. So that's great. And now here's the second amazing machine that we had to Google. Bracken Feldman introduced us to a machine called the Pug Mill, which is a sort of mixer and vacuum that allows you to reclaim clay. And the ceramics program is something we have supported in the past, and we love the way it goes all the way through the schools. So this Pug Mill lets you recycle projects so that it will cut down on the amount of clay that has to be bought each year. And it will allow the curriculum to go deeper into how ceramics are made, what clay is made of, different kinds of ceramics, mining processes, and all that sort of thing. So that seemed like a lovely way to expand the curriculum. The steel drums, we are offering more drum sets. And then the third, the best for last, this amazing Z-Space, which we had to Google.
His favorite new toy.
Yes, which allows virtual reality to be used as a teaching tool. And we understand there was a mobile
They had a
demonstration.
mobile lab come in.
Oh, really?
And they parked on the blacktop outside, and we were able to filter some of the high school students and middle school students through it. And I went in a few times, and the kids were like, wow.
Right, wow.
You know, they didn't want to leave. They
Yeah.
thought it was terrific, and they took to it right away. So I think it's going to be really exciting.
Well, we can't wait to see what that looks like.
We'll
but that
get you a
sounds
pair
very
of
exciting.
virtual glasses to get on there and see what you can do.
Okay. That's great. And that's great. It was really exciting.
Sorry?
I feel like there was a demo you and I saw at NISBA.
Yes, it was a demo. We saw it in NISBA.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she's up
And
on her.
that's it. We're done.
Wow.
Thank you, thank you,
Wow.
thank you. It's wonderful.
So, just as Suzanne said, to make sure that we can, fund the same awesome projects, next year we're having our event in, let's see, it's 2 weeks and 5 days, I think. Not that I'm
Who's counting?
or anything. So yeah, we're hoping that this, fundraiser, it's going to be held on Saturday, May 21st. At Captain Lauren's Brewery, which is up in Elmsford. If you haven't been by there before, it's on 9A. It's across the street from the Westchester Skating Academy. It's it's not too far from here. But yeah, we're very excited. I just actually was putting together today or at least starting to put together today, the huge spreadsheet of all the auction items that we've accumulated, and happy to say it's definitely over 100 things, so that's excellent. But yeah, we're very excited about it. It should be really fun. So I hope I can see everybody there.
How much are the
Get
tickets?
your tickets, yeah.
How much?
So the tickets, let me just think, before May 13th, they're $85. After the 13th, they're $95. You can go to hastingseducationfoundation.org and you can buy them. You can buy them online. You can buy them via online if that's helpful, or you can drop a check at, I think at the high school office. Right?
The high school
Right.
office.
High school office, yeah. So yeah, it should be fun. We're looking forward to it. So
Thank you, guys.
again.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to everybody who went to last year's gala, because that's the money we're using to get all these great things. And it's really exciting to see all the different things that people are coming up with, so it's really, really exciting. So we really appreciate all the work that you guys do to make it happen and to get people out to spend money. So spend money, folks.
And it's good to hear that there's not really much going on in Hastings. In schools.
Hats off to the grants committee, because I know, I've read through all the grants, and it had to be a hard time selecting
It's hard.
grants and which ones to choose, not to choose, and I'm just so glad you chose the one I wrote. That's
No pressure there.
no pressure. Thank you for everything.
Thank you very much. That was great.
Okay. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to move up a personnel appointment. So this is number 4 under Section C, Personnel. Nina D'Amato. She's here with her family, so welcome to everybody. And I guess I'll let you do the intro.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Welcome Nina and her family. I know in her mind this has been a long time coming. You know, she's been teaching here as long as I've been here, actually, 4 years. And, you know, she first started, I don't know if she first started, but I knew her as a 4th grade teacher initially, and then she switched around to 2nd grade. And this year, we threw her in kindergarten to try her hand at that for a while. And every time, I will say that every time I've gone into the classroom or by the classroom, just like a ray of sunshine. You know, the smile on her face and the joy that she's imparting to the kids is just terrific. And she seemed very happy in kindergarten. So she, throughout the 4 years, she's really proven herself to be an outstanding educator, and it's really a pleasure to finally recommend her for a probationary position. And I want to thank her for sticking with us for the 4 years and waiting her time for the right position to come along. And it finally happened, so it's a pleasure for me to recommend her to you.
Can I have a motion then to approve the appointment?
So moved.
And a second?
Second?
All those in favor? All right. So,
Official.
I don't know if you want to just get up and say anything. You don't have to, but
Well, thank you for giving me this opportunity. I love Hillside, and I stuck it out.
Can you come to the mic?
we like posterity's sake.
And this way your parents can go back home and watch the tape.
They can replay it. Right?
Yes.
No, thank you. I love Hillside. I always stuck it out. I always said from day one, regardless of what position it was, I would take it because it was just a great place to be. And I've really grown in my career there, and I wouldn't want it any other way. So thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations and best of luck to you. So I'm going to give you guys a chance to leave. You're welcome to stay
You're
for the
welcome to
rest of the
stay.
meeting, but if you really don't want to,
Really boring after.
you can go. Actually, we'll jump back. We have somebody who came in later into the audience, so public comment? Okay.
Bye. Congratulations.
You didn't want to say anything?
Public comment?
No.
Okay, all right. Okay, good night, folks, thanks for coming. Okay, then, we will move on with the rest of the meeting. We'll go back to the business section. Were there questions on any of these items that people wanted to bring up? This was the DeRosa one, number 1, was just for the tennis court
Yes.
change? Okay.
Yes.
And the Hudson Valley Shakespeare Festival, is that funded by,
No, that's funded by
that's funded by the
by
district?
us,
Okay.
yes. And that, but they had initially given the seed money for that.
Okay, so the business items 1 through 9, then, can I get a motion to approve as a consent?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
And all those in favor? Okay. We have placement for services, and both of them, so I guess hard to have questions on these. Once again, though, it would be, I had said this to her before, it'd be nice to flag the changes as they come through on the, just so you can see what's kind of going on, or how many changes are being put in place. But be that as it may, I'm sure Laura has lots of things on her plate. Can I get a motion to approve these?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
And then all those in favor? Okay. Personnel, we have one appointment. This was Laura's, but did we change something?
Amendment of her
It's
tenure date.
just amendment of her tenure date.
Okay.
I had the wrong tenure date when you appointed her as director.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. There was a mix-up. The tenure date, I think, reflected a July 1 date, not the date
That she
after
was-
you approved her, when she was officially starting her position the day.
Okay, so she'll have something that's a little off cycle then?
Correct.
Right, okay,
Correct.
all right. So there's that appointment, there's a resignation, and then 3 other appointments other than what I just did. Did you want to talk about that? Do you know anything? what you're doing there?
Sure, I can talk about Gina Rouse. She's been a part-time math teacher at the high school this past year. And we are switching some of our staff members around a little bit, which actually created an opening in the 8th grade math slot. And Gina has really done well as a math teacher. She has a great math background. I think she'll add a lot to the 8th grade program. So that's why we're recommending her for that spot there.
Other than that, can I get a motion to approve all the personnel items as a consent?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Okay. Did anybody have comments on the minutes? All right, I guess they look good, so can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All right, I'll let you duke it out. All those in favor? Okay. Committee, our policy meeting was canceled. We were going to talk about regulation manual, but the material that we needed in order to do that wasn't here, so we'll have to pick that one up. You know what? Campbell's name still keeps popping up.
I know.
Is he coming back?
Said that.
But you know what, it was canceled also. That
Was it? Okay.
meeting was canceled too.
Okay. But you guys did have a
We had
meeting?
a curriculum meeting. Lindsay, did you want to, or you don't have your?
I didn't read my notes. Do you have
okay.
notes?
Yeah, I do
If you
have
don't mind,
notes.
yeah, thank you.
Okay, so will the two of you please jump in and
Will do.
fill in anything I'm leaving out. So we had a meeting on Friday and got a really comprehensive sort of discussion with Jerry about all the things he's been working on in the last 2 months, and I think the three of us were exhausted just hearing about all the things he's been doing since he got here. He talked to us about the next generation science standards, and that they're apparently going to, because there's going to be testing in grades 2, 5, and 8, New York State is being a little bit more careful this time around about how to implement the change, and so they're going to roll it out in kindergarten, grades 3 and grade 6, and then like each year go up a grade so that none of the kids will get tested until they've been working with the new standards for 3 years. That he's hoping to have some summer work around writing integrated science units. We also talked about math instruction, common assessments, and identifying standards and question types. Let's see. Then we talked about chemistry, and he talked about the review of sort of historical assessment data, and that one of the things they're doing is looking at how kids perform in earth science and then comparing that to how they do in chemistry. The sort of the same children, they're kind of comparing their scores in one versus the other to get some sense as to, sort of where there may be weaknesses in the program or strengths. We talked about he's working with the Hillside teachers on the language arts curriculum, and he talked about phonics and word study. Also, he's working with the Hillside librarians on a library curriculum and trying to get it working on alignment between what's going on in the classrooms at Hillside with what is going on when the kids go to the library. And also including in the library curriculum internet safety and digital citizenship. We talked about different online diagnostic programs, and he was telling us that one of the problems with the state tests is that the results come in so late that they're not really that useful to the teachers in actually assessing how their kids are doing. So he was telling us about a program that or an assessment that he used when he was in Ossining that I think they were going to pilot here. Lindsay, do you remember what it was?
Yeah, the STAR. Well, one was the STAR.
One was the STAR, and the other one's iReady, I believe.
Yeah,
Yes.
iReady and
Right.
STAR. And
Do you guys use them at all?
Yes, we use the STAR as a universal screener, both for reading and math.
For what grade?
K to 5. And we use it as an RTI tool. Really, he wants to pilot it as a data collector and to have data for teachers to work with, but not so much as an evaluative tool.
Just to identify strengths and areas that need improvement for students.
So they'd have to take an additional.
It's not that kind, I don't think it's that sort of.
It's an online.
It's an online assessment.
You take it online,
yeah,
and it's well designed in that kids, they take a few questions that are assessment level determiners, and then the test changes as kids progress. If they're doing well, then the questions get more difficult.
Other interactives, right?
But it's well designed, and they're all. I don't know if we bought a subscription for the resources, but it has great resources
we haven't
aligned with
We
it.
haven't purchased anything yet. He was going to have the companies come in to do a demo.
Yeah, he wanted,
We haven't done anything with it.
he wanted to demo both of them and get the teachers involved and sort of
Yeah, and I
deciding
wonder
what
who,
was helpful.
I'd be curious to see who's coming in, because we had a person come in this year, actually, and she was fabulous, and it was very helpful, and you really got an understanding of the measure, so.
Yeah, I think it's important to point out, though, even when we use these things, there's no real identifiable student information put into the databases.
Yeah.
It's a student identifier number, no names are used, and it's only used internally to identify strengths and
that's
weaknesses
important,
of students. It's not something that goes out that anybody can
cloud.
data mine, if you will, because I know that's a concern for many.
Right.
But it's not that kind of thing.
But it's so unfortunate. When do we get the test results? Like, when are they? Yeah.
I think they certainly don't come back until after the school year is over.
Right,
So
which was the case last year. I thought they
for
were.
a teacher that's trying to sort of,
Right.
as the year goes on, assess what's going on and what, they need to work on more, it's
Right.
kind of
It's
useless.
pointless, yeah.
Plus, we have an increasing number of opt-outs.
Yes, that was the other thing he said, that with the.
I don't know how, with specific students, maybe you can tell some things when things come back, but it's hard to identify trends because not all kids are taking it.
Yeah.
But significant
The information
and-
we're getting is not complete. Like,
No.
we're
Right.
not getting nearly as much information
Correct.
about what questions,
Yeah.
what the questions were and how kids did on them specifically.
Right.
Right.
I mean, we used to get much more detail on.
Yeah, it's
we
more
didn't get it
generalized
before the
information,
next
yeah.
September.
Right.
So you could at least talk to the last year's teacher about how your kid did, but
Trends, yeah,
now
questions.
Right.
a lot of that diagnostic ability is gone.
Yeah. Right.
Which is a real problem.
And then he was telling us about professional development, professional learning, and the model that he's sort of following in terms of how he's going to do teacher professional development days and superintendent conference days with teacher choice, the teacher choice workshop model, where basically he's sort of sent out a survey to the teachers to identify their needs. Teachers select workshops that are of the greatest interest to them. And then he's also empowering teachers to work as facilitators and teach the workshops to their peers. He said that in his experience, that's a very powerful approach to have, teachers that are doing something successful in their classroom, sharing it with other teachers. So we were talking about that for a while, and then talking about parent engagement and up-to-date. He showed us what he's been doing to the curriculum instruction website, or portion of the district's website, and the resources he's been putting on there, and the links are pretty phenomenal. He sort of, we were in a conference room where we could actually, he had it projected up on the wall so we could see, but I would recommend the rest of you take a look at what he's been doing. At this point, most of the resources he's put out there are not specific to our school district. They're more sort of resources that are out on the internet, but he's going to work with, he put those out first to sort of model for the teachers sort of what he's trying to do. He ultimately would like to get the teachers involved and sort of adding to it and sort of expanding on what the resources are based on things that specific teachers are involved in.
And how's he getting that information out to the families?
I think he's at the point where he's just been building it,
Yeah,
and he's going to,
He's placed it
gonna
up
be
there
a
for anybody to
post,
see. I'm
yeah.
looking at it, but he
Yeah.
hasn't, he wanted to make sure he had enough, and it was in some,
Content.
yeah.
before he actually
released it
starts
all.
advertising
Right.
it.
And it's really getting
Where is
there.
it on
There's,
It's under, if you go into the district tab,
Yeah.
and then there's a curriculum instruction link under that.
Yeah.
You want me to show it real
But
quick?
it was,
You want to take,
I'm going to have it up. I can show you
Yeah.
real quick if you'd like to see it, sure. All right, hold on a sec.
are you,
you're not plugged.
I'll get there.
Okay.
do you have a question?
What about curriculum specifically?
And he's working on that.
Jeremy?
They're also working on curriculum mapping.
Oh, that's great.
And I wanted to send him sort of our current curriculum maps, but they are.
You mean just like, you go from 8th grade to 9th grade to 10th grade in terms of like, because
Well-
curriculum mapping is something else, right? It's much more detailed of like what the
Well, that's what
specific things are.
He's looking to do that.
That's-
His might,
I mean, we're
using the
talking-
term curriculum map, and that's much more detailed. I think we're looking at more pacing maps for each
Yes,
grade level.
like what the art department has.
Yes. Well, even more detailed than that one, though,
Yeah.
by unit and,
Right, I mean, there's lots of good examples that other
Yes.
other districts have up there that sort of show all the different ways you can sort
Right.
of, like, for instance, in math, all the different ways you can get to calculus.
Yep.
Oh,
It's
that's
not just done
different.
by course. I think he wants to break it down by grade level, so a
Yeah.
parent can look like in September, what are the units that the kids are working on? In October, what are the units the kids are working on for every grade level, every subject area?
I think that would be good. I think it'd also be good to have it at a more general level.
Yes.
Starting in 7th and 8th grade, so parents in
Yeah.
middle school know what those
Yes.
7th and 8th grade choices mean.
Right, so that, but that's that's not.
That's different.
That's different than what we're referring
Exactly,
to,
that's
right?
what I was.
Okay, got it,
Because
got
I'm
it,
just
got it.
looking at the.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yours is more
Anyway.
like a guidance question.
So
Like, how do
I-
you get from here to there?
Yeah.
I want my
Yeah,
kid to be doing this
the
by
plan,
senior
yeah,
year.
the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, got it. So if you go into the district here and you go in curriculum instruction, you'll come to this page and you can see there are, the flashes is of our kids doing the Z-Space virtual learning classroom that they brought in.
Right.
That's what's flashing right now, but
One cool hot dog truck. And it looked like with the side things come up.
click on the parent-student
so
resources.
if you look on the side, these are all links that have a parent-student resource page and welcome instruction goals, and these are links to all additional resources. If you click on that, he has them broken down by standards at a grade level, and he has videos as well for people to check out. But there's a lot more he's adding. This is where he is currently. And the
Now,
same-
there's
But
a,
I think if you click on one of those grades, you get to.
Yeah, so to go to, for example, grade 5, you can see it links to the Common Core
Right.
page and what they, here in grade 5, the units that they would be going into, and you can click on that and drill down deeper, et cetera, et cetera. So that's kind of where he's going with this
And then
thing.
there was also a screen that,
showed all the websites.
which showed all the websites that,
As resources.
Yeah.
That was
This.
very helpful. No, it's got
Not
little
that one, this is
icons.
Engage New York, all the websites
Yeah.
there.
I'll have to look at my notes and see where it was.
I don't know which one you mean then. So anyway, you get the idea. So he keeps on.
Maybe under
he's-
parent-student resources?
yeah, try that.
Well, that is.
That's where we were.
That's where we were.
But is the
Yeah.
first one that
The
says links to
elementary.
additional resources, is that actually a link?
Where's that?
Right
This-
above Common Core, the one that's in black, is that, that
No,
one's
it's not a link. These are links.
These are the
Yes.
links.
Those are the links.
Secondary online resources.
Which- Okay.
So like high school.
Yeah.
There, that was it.
Right, so he's building the other ones. I said they're not all done yet.
Right.
So
This
you
would link and
click
you
on
can go
any
each
of
one
those
of these.
squares
Yeah.
and get to,
That's so great.
So you click on Scratch and it'll go to
Yeah.
the Scratch site and everything else, yeah. So,
So what's he going to do next year? I feel like.
we'll keep him busy, don't worry.
yeah.
Anyway, so you get the idea of what he's building, and then when it's kind of put in a good place, we'll
Yeah.
advertise it out to parents and everybody see.
That's great.
Wow.
Yeah.
So let's see, so that was, and that wasn't all. So that was the website, parent-student resource page for math and ELA, elementary and secondary online resources, we showed you online curriculum pacing and resource calendar. And then he said that, and then I had to leave a few minutes before it ended, so, because the other things on here was something about evening events. He was talking about having a Laddie parent night in June.
Yeah,
That's for the elementary
scheduled
school.
already.
That's June 16th, I think.
June 16th, as you know, there were some questions about
last
the
liaison.
Laddie initiative at the elementary school, and felt it would be a good idea to have a parent night, information night for parents to understand what the Laddie classroom's about as it pertains to Hillside School. And the thought is to have teachers there to be able to demonstrate how they might run a Laddie classroom, so people get to see it in action.
That's a
So
great
we're
idea.
planning
That's
that as
good.
well.
Yeah,
That's a really good idea.
And so, because this meeting, really, he was kind of giving us this update on what he had spent the last 2 months doing. We are meeting again in several weeks, I think it's on Friday, May 20th. Because what we didn't talk about at all was we wanted to sort of figure out what the point of our committee was and why we're there, and to figure out with him sort of how we can be helpful to him and how to sort of translate, some of the things he's been telling us to meetings with the entire board. Because I think ultimately what we've said in the past is that when it comes to curriculum instruction, we like sort of the whole board to be directly informed. And so, we just want to, so I think next time we'll be sort of talking to him probably about maybe what topics might make sense to bring up as discussions with the whole board. And, personally, I think everything he told us, it would be great for the four of you to hear. So our next meeting is really more of a kind of planning session as to how to utilize the committee.
Great.
So, yeah, it's a good meeting.
It's good to hear.
Yeah, it was good.
Okay.
Can I just ask a question, or maybe other people know the answer? What math program do we use now in the elementary school?
I wouldn't say we use any specific math program. It's a
Okay.
combination of the engaged modules that we still use, because the engaged modules in math we found to be good, actually. So it's a combination of that and other resources combined. There's no real one set program.
Somebody had asked me, and I realized I just
It's
didn't
hard
know.
to define,
We've
because we
been
don't
through
use like
so many.
Singapore math or Think Through Math or any of that. It's kind
Right.
of I would say the base is the Engaged New York modules.
Okay.
Have a lot of people gone there? I mean, not use, because a few years ago, everybody was using a particular one. and now it
Singapore.
seems
Yeah,
more-
Singapore Math is a common one right now. A lot of people are using that.
Yeah.
Go Math. And so there are some, but many people have gone to just using the modules.
Customized.
Yeah, customized version. Because it's hard to keep up with all the standards in any textbook series.
Yeah. Okay. All right, I guess we'll move on to new business, which doesn't look like we have any, so we'll move on to old business, which we don't have it, no, okay. Anyway, we do have a second public comment period. We don't get many visitors, so we take two opportunities.
Unless they have something to comment on.
All right, so we're actually speeding right to the end here. Did anybody have, as I mentioned earlier, I don't know if you were here, but the
Oh, yeah, I didn't hear that. Could we?
May 12th is the HASP graduation. So that's at, starts
8:30
at
in the
8,
morning.
goes to 8:30, which is always a great program.
No, 8:30, 8 o'clock breakfast.
8 o'clock
8:30.
breakfast, the presentation started at
Yeah.
8:30.
8:30, yes.
Yeah, sorry, how much what I said. And then we'll follow up with Finer. He had written this note about the discussion that the town board had, where they were going to change about the reval and phasing in the reval for people whose taxes have risen. So we can just follow up on that. He does offer that they'd be happy to come and talk to us, but I'd kind of like to see what happened with the village tonight, because they had the presentation there. So we'll go home and watch that. They're supposed to be filming it. I mean, we could probably go. It didn't start till 7:30, so it's possible. Big night.
And don't forget the spring concert
Let's wait for the video.
Oh, yeah. On May 12th also.
Okay. Any
High
other-
school.
Any other things people want? Oh, and that, did you want to make any comments about anything about the budget, since it's our last opportunity to talk to people?
Well, as you know, the vote is coming up, and we did get some people who were concerned with the middle school class sizes portion of the budget. And as you know, we did put some contingencies in place to hire additional staff, where once we define what that is. But in preparation for that, I did have the middle school staff plan for 6 sections in 8th grade for the core subject areas, math, science, social studies, and English. So they were able to put it into the schedule. Now I have to figure out the best way to staff that. So
Is that an increase then?
it's an increase in sections for those for the core areas, an increase of 1 section, so that should reduce. In foreign language, we already added that to the budget, so I think we were fine there. And so we're looking to see, once I get it, the high school schedules done and some of the other middle schedules done, I think we'll be able to cover, for example, the additional English class internally. The math class probably will have to go outside, or we have a part-time position open. Maybe we'll increase the part-time amount of that person to cover that class. Science is a struggle right now because our staff is pretty tight, and it's a lab science, which makes it a little more challenging. So we're going to see if we can find somebody, if we can't cover it internally. And social is the same thing. I'm not sure where we'll go with that just yet, but it's in the plan, it's in the schedules that way, and now we have to find a way to staff it properly, so that's in place. And the full-day kindergarten as well, assuming the budget passes, and as you know, we did put a contingency to cover in the event we need an additional kindergarten section, so we are, right there, ready to go with our full-day kindergarten program as well.
Where are we with kindergarten enrollment?
Numbers, we're about 85 right now, so we're fine.
And that's usually where we are at this time?
Last year, we were over 90, which,
Right now.
yeah, we were almost at 100 last year at this point, 97, 98. So that's why we added the 6th section then. I think, based on previous history,
Yeah.
we're right about that 5-section mark, if you will.
Right.
Provided, houses don't go crazy over the summer, we get a big turnover. So I think we'll be fine.
I know one of the things that came up in relation to having part-time teachers come in was just their availability
Yes.
to kids for extra help.
Yep.
So, perhaps there's a way of managing that issue, when we, in some way, having them at a certain time of day or...
Yeah, it's a challenge.
Yeah, I know.
There's no way around it, when you're hiring somebody, especially if it's only for one class.
Yeah.
To get the level of commitment, it's going to be challenging. But again, I'd rather see if we can do it internally first.
Yeah.
We'll go from
Well,
there.
and I think it is, because, I had that, one of my kids had that experience, and it was terrible. The person was just
Yeah.
never around.
Right.
So it's one of those things, it's almost like, well, we know you prefer a smaller class size, but would you really want your child to be in the section with
Yeah.
the person who's only here for one class? If you want to sign up for it, and we have enough people, then that might be a problem.
Yeah.
It's almost like you need to get people to buy into it.
Sure.
Because it's hard to, if that course ends up being in the middle of the day,
Yeah.
you have to be kind of,
Yeah,
and because
so I
it's a
said
lab, it has an extra section.
for us,
it's a
I wanted to make
different
sure
day.
we could fit the sections into the schedule first, and then try to staff it. So we did that part of it.
Okay, then, so I think we are adjourned.
Right.
All right.